Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswald on your side. We have live team coverage right now with the First Alert Weather Team. See meteorologist Cody Nickel. He's working on seeing what's going on locally on the streets and working on social, along with meteorologist Carmen Rose helping us track along here. What we're looking at across east central Alabama, now everybody's under the tornado watch watching. We're seeing the initial component of this. This may even be the final for us locally, but we still got at least an hour plus as it moves across east central Alabama. This line that you're seeing here west of Tuskegee and Union Springs. We do have a tornado warning down here in Bullock County. This is extreme northern Bullock County, so if you're in Union Springs right now, you should be seeking shelter immediately. So let's go right into that. Let me show you what we're talking about. You can see right here along this trajectory in this line, we're seeing this whole line with the capability not only severe thunderstorms with damaging wind up to 60, 70 miles per hour, but Fort Davis is in this, but the actual rotation and spin is coming into the Union Springs area. And here we are looking at it. Although the rotation has seemed to be a little bit more broadened out here, there's still enough to be concerned about to take it over the Thompson area into Fort Davis and eventually going all the way up through Suspension and of course Hurtsboro, as we just told you as well. I'll be clipping that. So if it continues this way as far north and east as Hurtsboro, the whole line will eventually lift up this way. In the extreme northeast corner of the screen is Smith Station, just to give some perspective, but this whole line will be coming through areas of Lee County and eventually a little bit points farther south. We go down to Randolph County now, and you see another tornado warning here right along Highway 27 south of Coleman. And Cuthbert, you're okay. You're out of this, so if you're hearing some of the sirens, but considerable amount of lightning associated with this as it continues to kind of lift a little bit off to the north and northeast, as you can see by this line, this polygon. And it appears to be some good rotation down here with that. So I don't know how we're doing on velocity, and we could take a peek at that. And meteorologist Cody Nickel is dissecting that for us right now. So you could see where there is some rotation. It appears to be possibly just more or less kind of broadened out here a little bit. We're seeing it, and in fact, even though this is a potentially dangerous situation coded by the Storm Prediction Center, that is really heightened when you see this for long-lived tornadoes is what they're saying when you hear that. We're not really seeing that at this point in terms of seeing the intensity of them. So that's good news in respect to that, if you want to put it in perspective. But down here, as we get into Calhoun, Clay, and that's part of our viewing area in Randolph counties here, that's this extreme southern portion, you should be already thinking of taking your safe spot as we speak right now. So right now we go with more coverage and see if my team, are you guys ready? Do you see anything updated on there, Carmen, yet? Taking a look at chat? It's
about the same thing. Cody's checking as well. So okay. Both of these are really moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. So we have the one south of us, Clay, Calhoun, Early, Randolph, you are all under that tornado warning. So we're just watching the rotation right there, closer to Haleburg. So we're starting to see that. The other thing Bob just told you all as well, we have this other warning off there toward Union Springs. It's actually very close to Union Springs, a couple miles west, and we are watching that now going through, moving rather quickly. So Fort Davis, you are probably experiencing some gusty winds as well with this, and we're continuing to watch it as well. So this is why we are deemed under those tornado warnings. Again, for Bullock County, you are under that until 1:45 p.m. Central. Both of these warnings lasting until that long, 1:45 p.m. Central to 2:45 p.m. Eastern, and we are expecting damaging winds and then also watching that potential for rotation. That's why we are deemed that tornado warning closer to Union Springs. This is going to be west of us here into Columbus, and then also way south of us, getting into Clay County as well as extending into Randolph. We're starting to see that. So you can see the track here based off of the polygon. When you see that, we're noticing that it's going northeast at 45 miles per hour. So starting to see just a little bit of weak rotation here, and that's why we are watching both of these right now. So we're continuously watching them. And Bob, you have more updates on this?
Yeah, you can see it there too. It's beginning. You can see the way these are coming in. It's got a nice little tight little rotation on this right here in the center, albeit broad again, similar to what we had yesterday and Saturday. Kind of reminds me of just a bit. We're well south now. We're down here over in Randolph, Clay counties, as we were talking about in Calhoun counties in our extreme southern viewing area. This gets us into Cuthbert. We got a lot of population down here. You can see in the upper right-hand part of your screen, we go farther north up in Lee County, where everything is okay now, but the skies are dark and a lot of humidity up in that area. We take you back up to Bullock County. We have severe thunderstorm warnings right along this line. It extends already into southwest Lee County. I want to highlight this now because we're starting to get into Lee County, and that's why we have Jordan here Stadium up there in the corner a moment ago. But you could see here's a point of concern. We're looking closely now. Here we are at Maxwell Air Force Base with this particular line. and we've been watching this way when it was just west of Mount Meigs, which is north of Interstate 85 in that area. There was a funnel cloud that was reported, and now the National Weather Service is reporting some good rotation with it. Now, does that mean that funnel cloud is likely looking like it's becoming more Doppler-indicated tornado? Yes, and as it continues to track in this vicinity, I'm going to put Auburn way above this. Meteorologist Cody Nichols extending it. Auburn, you're not in a warning right now. Just want to let you know you're okay, but we're concerned about areas around Chesaw, and then we get back up across Little Texas, which is going to clip that in Russell County, and that's when you get into southwest Lee County here. Tuskegee and Macon County, too, along this as well. So right now the warning is in Macon County, but the polygon will get us getting closer to Nottasulga, and it broadens out farther than that. But this particular storm system will have some strong winds with it, even as it continues along Interstate 85, right along the same trajectory is the interstate, lifting north and east, and it has us concerned about areas we got to start thinking around, even in Auburn, as we grow even heavier in populated areas here. You can see even some of the times here on your screen. You got Lochapoka and Auburn right in here. We continue on Central Time, as we're showing you, as it continues at almost 45 miles an hour towards the north and east. So it's moving awfully fast, and that's what means you got to start taking your safe places along this area. So if you are outside of Shorter, you're okay. But if you are in Macon County around Tuskegee, you should be seeking shelter now, getting your safe spot. And anywhere south of Interstate 85 in this particular polygon that we're showing you. Auburn, not thinking you're going to necessarily see that tornado warning, and that's good news possibly, but you've got to be looking out here because right along the same line, similar to yesterday too, it has the ability to continue to spin up these tornadoes. Now, we are under a tornado watch, which means that obviously conditions are favorable for tornadoes. We're seeing that. If we're farther south here in Union Springs, right along Alabama 29, we have a possible tornado on the ground here, but it's Doppler indicated. We haven't had any reports. And speaking of that right now, we can check with meteorologist Cody Nichols to see the latest on what you're hearing right now in these areas from the Weather Service. Cody.
That's right. No indications of any damage so far with these storms. The tornado warning has been canceled for Bullitt County there, so that rotation has weakened right around Fort Davis as it is moving into southern Macon County. But that circulation on the northern end of Macon County is what we're watching, that is moving right through Tuskegee right now, going to be moving up to Nottasulga, and then potentially making its way into Lee County and Auburn, as Bob was saying. But right now, we do have two warnings, one for Macon County in Alabama, and then we do have one skirting our southern viewing area around Clay and Randolph. That is just to the south of Fort Gaines. We're right around Shorterville. We'll zoom in on it. This one has the most intensity with it, as you can tell by that lightning. But we'll find out where our circulation is just right there crossing the Alabama-Georgia border, coming into Clay County, even northern parts of Early County there. So if you're in Bluffton, take your tornado precautions right there on US 27. Even if you're in Edison and Calhoun County and extreme southern portions of Randolph County. Now, if you are in Cuthbert, you are fine at the moment. This storm will move towards the south of you as its circulation continues to move off towards the northeast. And this one is the most severe, I would say, at the moment. This is where it's really in the ripe atmosphere at the moment, especially across southern portions of Georgia and Alabama. And we even go further down towards the south. This is where we have a line of very strong storms and potentially tornadic storms overall. So this is going to be a very long event, especially for our friends down in South Georgia. Already reports of some deaths earlier this morning with a round of severe weather there across parts of South Georgia, just around the Valdosta area. But right now we are still tracking those two areas for circulation in Macon County.
Okay, Cody, I just want to point out to everybody here, and I'm going to go over to our next camera over here real quick before we go to meteorologist Carmen Rose, and she's going to update us. Here's a live picture from the City of Auburn camera. College Street right now, you could see the sign moving. Look at this camera shaking here. Now this is on the lamppost here, this camera at Toomer's Corner, and that clearly indicates, look how far the system is. and yet it's almost coming closer to you, and you could see the winds that are certainly excelling ahead of this right now by way of this live picture. So we're live right now at Toomer's Corner, and you could see how everything is shaking at this point. And there's meteorologist Carmen Rose there. Carmen, go ahead and tell us, since you're there, let us see what else is going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to look like Godzilla over here, but we are starting to see, you're noticing on our camera at Toomer's Corner that it is shaking a little bit. So we're starting to see gusty winds with that. That's really going to be a big concern with this, as well as the possibility of some of those tornadoes. So what's going on right now is we are under those warnings. This is lasting until 2:45 p.m. Eastern, 1:45 p.m. Central, and so our first warning is south of us here in Columbus. You can see that closer to Randolph and Clay counties. The other thing we're watching is also off there toward our west. So what you see closer to Toomer's Corner with those winds picking up, well, that's just west of you guys. Not looking like it's heading in the same direction, but it is tracking northeast at 45 miles per hour. So we're starting to see this line right here of those strong thunderstorms. So if you are in Tuskegee, you're really getting hammered with some of this wind right now, and it's going to continue over the next quarter to half hour here. And so we're starting to see just some weak rotation. That's what we're noticing when we look at radial velocity. So when you see all these colors, what that just means, the green is going toward the radar, the yellow, the red's going away from it. So we're starting to see just a little bit of that counterclockwise rotation. However, it is loose, not looking too tight, but that's what we're watching. So we're continuously tracking this as it continues northeast at 45 miles per hour. So Tuskegee really going over you guys right now, even closer to Little Texas, looking like it's going to be a little bit north of you all, but that is what we're watching. We did have that tornado warning closer to Fort Davis. That has expired, just some weak rotation there, but it is something that we'll be watching. What's going on off there toward our south, this tornado warning, the same deal, lasting until about 2:45 p.m. Eastern, and we're continuing to watch that in Bluffton. So we're getting a good view of what's all going on. A lot of activity with all of this. Bob and Cody, do you have anything else to add? What's going on?
Yes, Carmen, I'm glad you said that. When we're down here in Calhoun, Clay, and Early, there's still radar is showing some impressive hail returns on this. So could even see, as you could probably highlight for us there, Carmen, down there, right where the circulation is right ahead of that.
Closer to
the lightning you see with that thunderstorm, we're seeing up to an inch of hail potentially. So how much of that really kind of melts by the time it hits the surface? It could be significant enough to bring some damage. This is what we call our hail core that is on our radar on level 2, and this is doing a good job showing the hail track and the size at this point. And you could see hail sizes anywhere just under an inch. So in fact, it is showing up pretty impressive here in this area. Also a track farther north too, the one that is eventually working its way in the northern areas outside of Macon County, as you can see up there. But certainly this one down here in Clay, Quitman, and Randolph, we're looking at these areas to keep an eye out for that. Now Randolph County, it's south again of the Cuthbert area, so you guys are okay on that, but certainly showing some rotation right now with that. And with that rotation, there could be certainly a tornado. We haven't yet had anything at this point confirmed seeing that there's a tornado, but as far as all these counties here in Bullock, down in this area, we will keep this out for everybody else. But we'll probably see this line come through here, and there's another one behind that that still has more energy. Look at that, guys. So that's going to be wrapping around, and we'll be watching our counties from Lee and Chambers County coming up within the next hour or two. You see where Alexander City is. Highlight this whole line at 45 miles an hour, and it seems to continue on that track, and it's quite impressive indeed. You can see the line that meteorologist Cody Nickel is dissecting here for us. You can see it's a long line, and similar to yesterday in that it extends north and south across the whole viewing area, east central Alabama, which makes it like anybody's like any given time, could you see something rotate along that line? Absolutely. And the one that we're seeing, or two of them, there's two separate lines. This is ahead of the actual area where this front's starting to wrap around this low. This is just subsequently everything that's coming ahead of it with a strong, what we call jet streak. You got a nice warm air sector in here lifting up, which we were suspecting last night would have happened a little bit farther north. Thanks to the rain, it suppressed it southward, but coming right outside of Maxwell Air Force Base now, that area with potential rotation, tornado coming into that area, which it looks like it's coming into southwest areas of Lee County. And let's get back into that again, Cody, and just see a little tighter on that, because it gives the impression that Auburn would be bullseye, and we're not necessarily seeing that. So that's some good news. So I don't want folks in Auburn to be panicking, but we showed you that live camera up at Toomer's Corner, how it's just shaking. So if anything, this is a very windy event once again. And with winds sustained at 30, sometimes 40, is enough to do some damage. But here's the rotation we're looking at spin Meteorologist Cody Nichols has been watching this closely, even online and on social media. And as it comes up potentially into Notasulga, it seems like it's an extreme northern portion of this polygon. It would continue up to Lochapoka. Now, Auburn would still have this storm system, this particular wind event, as it's coming into Little Texas now, which if you're in Little Texas, strong gusty winds coming out of this, ejecting ahead of it. So you should still be seeking shelter at that. Even though you're in a part of that tornado polygon, you're not actually seeing rotation, but you are getting pretty good winds here. And for a lot of residents right along Highway 80 here, just be mindful of that. But the northern portion of this, as it continues, at least to Notasulga, you should at least be getting into a safe spot right now and taking cover. Central location of a dwelling, sturdy structure, and certainly always cover your head and get it to the lowest part of a building or a structure that's a sound structure, not a mobile home or a park model as such. So as it continues right along Alabama, you go right across here at 199 and it continues to follow suit. We'll watch that area. Extreme southwest Lee County needs to be watched, but the whole system itself is moving towards you in Auburn. We now go to what's called our correlation coefficient. And this part of the radar, sometimes we try to get where we saw the rotation in this area. This could be, and it's so hard to discern. But to clean it up a little bit, it's likely we could be, in fact, seeing maybe some debris with this. Cody, have you heard anything about a TDS or a tornado debris signature, which would indicate otherwise?
I believe this is just radar indicated.
Okay.
The one in Bullock County did have that observed tag because of a TDS, but that one has since weakened and broadened out and has been allowed to expire. But this is the storm right here that we're still tracking that could potentially come up into Lee County and affect Auburn here. Now we are going to get a severe thunderstorm warning on this whole line coming from National Weather Service. It's not in our system yet, but this is going to produce some damaging wind all the way from Notasulga back through Macon County and parts of Tuskegee, and then right just to the east there of Union Springs. So that's going to come into Hurtsboro, parts of Russell County. You had some wind event yesterday, early morning, and also Lee County will be in this as this continues to progress eastward at about anywhere between 40 and 50 miles per hour, a little variance in individual storm speeds, as all of these appear to have some rotation in it, so they each have their own progression of speed, but moving in a line all together up to the northeast. So we'll be watching that, and go back to velocity here on our Macon County storm real quick. You can see it's just right on the northern edge of that polygon. So if you were in Notasulga, even Beehive in Lee County, technically not under a tornado warning, but I would go ahead and get that safety plan acted and already be in your safe spot as this storm continues to push up into your area. So areas of Little Texas, damaging winds as well. Even let's check on our storm down in Clay County. Let's check on that. This one looks like it's got a little hook there, little better indications of some rotation just north of Bluffton there, and that's going to be coming up on the intersection of Georgia 37 and US Highway 27 there. So that's coming into the Sutton's Corner area of Clay County, even going to be crossing into extreme southern portions of Randolph County, Georgia. So not Cuthbert, though. If you were in Cuthbert, Shellman, and Coleman, this is all south of you, and this actually is our strongest storm. The rotation looked like it tightened up on that scan a little bit, and they're going to continue this tornado warning for our friends down in Clay County and Randolph County. So that's going to be a very likelihood of a strong rotational couplet indicating a tornado there. We don't have any confirmation that is on the ground at the moment. So, but if you are in Clay County, Randolph County, be taking your tornado precautions now. And I'm going to go to Carmen. She'll have a little analysis on this system.
All right, so Cody's absolutely right. We have those two warnings, and what's going on, the stronger rotation toward our south into Clay and Randolph. Just to give you an idea, though, of what's going on, we've got a lot of activity here, not only just toward our south, but that line just toward our west. So this is getting closer to Auburn, so you can expect that rain and that wind in the next quarter to half hour as far as this track goes. So we're tracking this line right here as it will continue to push forward east and northeast. You can look at that live shot through Toomer's Corner right now at Auburn, already seeing some wind already seeing some rain, and we'll continue to see that as we head throughout the next half hour to quarter hour here in Columbus. We'll start to see more of that activity as well in the next hour or less. So right now continues to be that warning off there toward our west. You can see Nostalgia going northeast there as well, and it's going to continue. So you see these polygon lines tracking northeast into Auburn. Really the concern continues to be the wind, as well as a threat for hail as well. But as far as what's going on with that, wind really is going to be our main concern, as well as heavy rain that's already picking up. So Auburn already seeing that light rain, those yellows and those reds, orange, indicating that heavier rain moving through as well. So that warning again lasting until 2 p.m. Central. So we've got about a quarter hour left on this system as well. So we'll be watching it, but it continues to move through east and northeast. As it does so, it's bringing wind. So we're starting to see that, some gusty winds as well as heavy rain, even some lightning and thunder. So you'll be noticing that in Auburn and especially toward our south. So it's continuing to be an active day here. We'll be tracking it all afternoon and even into the evening with this. So we're noticing all of this activity right here and even toward our south. So now seeing a lot more lightning, continuing to see that lightning off there toward our south. Bluffton getting more of that as well. This warning lasting until 3 p.m. So we've got a little bit longer here into the eastern time period as well. So we're starting to see just a little bit of that broad rotation. That's when we're actually starting to see that, whereas closer to Auburn, seeing more of a wind event, but we are watching this right here, again, lasting into the next half hour or so. But it looks like we've just increased another warning here. If Bob, you want to update us on that?
Yeah, Chambers, Randolph, and Tallapoosa counties, which, you know, kind of getting out of our areas, but as we get northern end of this, you see where Alexander City is. So, again, this whole line, as Carmen just pointed out, is certainly going to be affecting folks in Waverly, Dadeville, and Alexander City. And Auburn, you're kind of like really between these, although you're not in the exact path of what we think could be a potential tornado. It's still well off to your south and east, but we want to keep an eye on that. A lot of folks right now, as we're live streaming, ask us some questions. You could tune in here to News 3 at any time, too, and we could keep you updated. But you could see here, as we extend this line, this whole line is going to impact everybody. So just to understand the sound that you're hearing, too, a lot of folks say the winds sound like a big roar with this. There's a lot of winds that are obviously excelling ahead of this. So if we look at Auburn, Opelika, we got Smith Station up here, we got Valley and West Point. Let's give you the times. You're in Auburn, about 1:42. We're talking about local time here coming up. That's right around the corner, obviously, any minute. We're talking about areas, because right now we're looking at Opelika. It's close, even though your time on this is still indicating at 1:49. So if you're in Opelika, it's within the next 5 minutes or so. So that's just wind and heavy rain. As far as severe thunderstorm, we're not seeing that kind of potential at this point, but it is moving really quick towards you. So do be prepared for some strong damaging potential at this point. We could broaden it out, though, but you could see Lee County is in that. And we just have it extended right to the Georgia border, which includes Valley, Alabama as well. Separate from that actual line, which we feel that'll be it for the News 3 viewing area, which we got some time, is this down here, which is really starting to show some debris. And this is not a good sign. This is observed right now, and clearly, this is what we call a tornado debris signature outside of Sutton's Corner, just to the east of Highway 27, north of 37 near Moy. You definitely need to be taking cover right now. Right now, you should be taking cover with this. This is what we call a tornado debris signature. This is what actually is certainly determining that we have an actual tornado on the ground, and this will be headed towards Georgia 216, and you can see it's still north and east of Bluffton. You're fine, but if you're in these areas around just north of Edison, you should be seeking shelter immediately along this entire path, which will eventually be cutting extreme southern portions, I want to say, of Randolph County, where 216 relies. So it's almost southern, southeast Randolph County. You should already be thinking of a safe spot, especially for the areas of Moy. And a lot of folks are watching us there, which is right on the county line, Randolph, and just to the point south. So Moy coming up about 44 minutes after the hour. Areas even taken as far out to Dawson, Georgia would be about 3. So you can see how fast this is actually moving, and Dawson's not in our viewing area, but just wanted to give you some perspective of understanding how fast this is lifting north and east out of here. But that is an actual right along Highway 37 right now, a tornado debris signature. and that clearly indicates there is an actual tornado on the ground. And in fact, meteorologist Cody Nichols confirmed that along with some spotters that are active. And clearly the radar doing just that as well. So Cody, any other updates on this at all you can see?
Not at the moment, because the warning just came out. It does go until 3:30. Includes, as you said, Randolph County, even is extended into Terrell County, where the city of Dawson is. So, but this is confirmed by the Doppler radar, and that is what we see by the CC values. You see this very area of green, I want to say gray pixels, with the background of that red. That is where we have that debris being lofted in the atmosphere and being detected by it right around the intersection of Clay County, Randolph County, and even Randolph County. Right there where those three counties meet is where that area of debris is being located. So if you live in extreme southern Randolph County, around that's Georgia 41, even Georgia 45 and Georgia 55 up to down in Terrell County, going back to Dawson. This storm is going to be crossing these streets if it continues to be on the ground, and we have a favorable environment for it to stay on the ground for a very long time, because this storm is right on the warm sector of where we could have those potential for long track damaging tornadoes. And we do have a I'll go to velocity. We have a we have a what we call gate-to-gate velocity here, outbound and inbound. That's where that tornado is located, right there in extreme northwestern portions of Calhoun County.
Cody, could you zoom in on that? And let's get a little tighter on that. I want to point something out because that's fascinating. Get a little closer here. As you have this, as you call, when you have gate-to-gate, you could see in and outflow. This pixelation right here is showing us how tight it is. This is a very small concentrated area. So if you're in Moy, there is no question right now, Moy, you're just to the west of 216. You need to seek shelter immediately. This is a tornado debris signature. Notice to the south of that, Cody, right to the south right here, this is all debris possibly still being picked up around that tightly wound tornado. And the depth of this and how wide it is certainly something to be certainly concerned about, because as this one continues to last and sustain on the ground, and hence the PDS that has been issued, I believe even in this area too, this far south, which is a potentially dangerous situation, is proven that this is a strong tornado likely, and it is long-lived. It's been on the ground for a little while here, and it is certainly picking up a considerable amount of debris. It could be trees that is being indicated here by this particular color that we're seeing, and getting some of the returns back on the radar. It could be glass, it could be anything that it picks up along the way, rooftop shingles, tree limbs, whatever it may be. So as this whole complex continues to move, if you're in the Moy area right now, if you're in Moy, Georgia, you should be seeking shelter immediately south of Randolph County. So if you're in Randolph County watching, if you're in Carnegie, you're okay. You're not in that exact path. But Carnegie residents in southern Randolph should be even thinking about maybe just a safe spot right now, just for the fact that there's some strong winds in the vicinity. And even with a tornado that's strong like this that we're seeing at this point, we don't know the exact speed or size or the damage magnitude, but because it's been long-lived, it is lifting a lot of debris in the atmosphere. And we are always concerned about flying debris, and that could certainly impact residents along this track that continues.
Lee County tornado warning.
Okay, let's get back up to Lee County right now. And this, of course, has its concern south. This is southwest Lee County with the final part of this line, as we're talking about. So for our friends over here in Lee County right now, Lochapoka and Auburn, you should be seeking shelter immediately now. Okay, we're saying earlier, this is extreme southern part of the screen here and the polygon where it begins. It is looking rather broad, but there's circulation. Oh, there's good tight circulation there in that frame. It was at the last sweep there.
This is the most updated.
Okay, if you're in South College Street now, that crosses Interstate 85, seek shelter immediately right now. You should be seeking shelter immediately, South College Street, right now along the 85 corridor. In Auburn, you should already be thinking about a safe spot right now. We're going to just go ahead and just say that, because this is now starting to look a little bit better concentrated, and the fact that we are seeing some better evidence of this on radar. This is our velocity. We are seeing circulation. You can see it now showing up, and we are seeing good inflow, outflow, and this is also becoming something that to me is looking long-lived and possibly living up to what we're seeing as PDS, a potentially dangerous situation, because of the fact that these are more stronger than what they were yesterday. and they may be more concentrated. Yesterday was such a broad line of constant areas of small, weak tornadoes and damaging wind. These are actually concentrated, strong tornadoes that are long-lived. So if you're in South College Street, crossing Interstate 85, you should be in your shelter immediately. You should be in a safe spot, low area, enough walls between you and the outside right now. If we start talking about Auburn, you should already be thinking about your safe spot right now. Opelika, hold tight. Auburn, just prepare, but know that this is going to head your way. Doesn't mean it'll be a tornado on the ground, but you need to start thinking that way. And when we see the debris, and I don't know if we had a good TDS on this.
We haven't received one just yet.
Okay, so CC showed, it may be showing a little bit, but regardless, we're not seeing so much debris being picked up. We need to, in fact, that could be it right there.
Possibly, not confirmation.
Not confirmation, okay. Okay, so that's good. So Cody just relayed that. We don't have confirmation of debris just yet. Even if it's Doppler indicated, we got to take it seriously nonetheless. South College Street, right at the angle here. Let's get as tight of street level right now as we're getting more populated here, and if we'll cut as close as we can to the circulation so we can give some roads for everybody. Okay, here we go. Beehive Road, you should be in your safe spot. Enough walls between you and the next side, you should be in your safe spot too. And you can see Lee Road 12, you should already be seeking shelter immediately. Where you have Automobile Boulevard here, Shell Tumor Parkway would be the southern end of that. Mill Creek Road, closer to the Interstate 85 near Shell Tumor Parkway. You should be taking shelter immediately right now as this continued circulation. Doppler indicated now, no confirmation, but we would rather be safe than sorry right now as we speak. So we're talking about the extreme southwest part of Auburn right now should be at this point, you guys should be seeking shelter. This is a radar image, and the radar image has shown torrential rain. So you can't discern and see from this exactly where this possible tornado may be. We're struggling quickly to find out if this is confirmed, but Doppler indicated nonetheless, and seeing a little bit of possibly from the WRBL radar software, maybe there is a little debris with this, which we call a correlation coefficient, and it's given us some indication clearly that you should be at Beehive Road 29. Get you a little tighter on these neighborhoods down here too, Cody. That's because it's just south of 85, right about there. That's perfect. And this would be Enterprise Drive, Belmont Drive neighborhood, Beehive Road neighborhood, Alabama 29 right through these neighborhoods here, south and east of Interstate 85, Lee Road 12, coming up in extreme areas of southwest city of Auburn, which would include you guys at Automobile Boulevard. Even on the southeast part around Shell Tumor Drive, you should at least be taking shelter immediately. The circulation appears to be a little bit more broad now. I hope it kind of stays that way, but there's a potential damaging wind along this line. It is continuing right along the Interstate 85 corridor, north and south of that, and appears perhaps it may be a little bit north now, wobbling a little bit. That Lee Road 12 residents that cross Interstate 85 should be in a central part in those neighborhoods east. It leads up to South College Street here in Auburn, that it goes right underneath 85. You guys should literally be in your safe spot right now. That means the most lowest spot in the building, and you want to be in an area that it has enough walls and no glass from the outside. So it's about buffering, protecting, get low, cover your head. Don't panic. I don't want anyone panicking. It's just preparing here, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine because you're going to take the necessary preparation. So Lee Road 12, Enterprise, there's the city of Auburn on a broader scale of this polygon. The reason why we've been on this whole time, because this is what we're anticipating with this line, and it appears to be kind of long-lived. The circulation isn't as tight as we saw once, but I'm not confident that this is going to keep tightening up here. But nonetheless, right along 85 here, we can still see some of that circulation right here. And right where that is, it's going to continue right along the corridor Interstate 85, and it appears to be the best circulation now is just to the north of Interstate 85, heading along right around Alabama 147, getting us right in the city of Auburn, southern portions of the city of Auburn. So if you're in Auburn 14 here that rides right through downtown, keep in mind this is still south of you, but if there's any debris in this area, it should not be outside. You should be inside in a safe spot. Even so, this is on the more central part of this polygon. As it continues to track this way, most concerned about southern city of Auburn, southern portions of the city closest to Interstate 85, and that would be just south of 14. Okay, so we run it this way so you get another idea and understanding. We'll take you out to Opelika now. which isn't in the polygon, but potentially could continue this way. This whole line is going to affect you some way or another, whether it's a tornado or not. It is continuing right through this area. So everybody along this track at this point, as it extends out to Roanoke Junction, should be thinking of a safe spot. If you're in City of Auburn, south, all the way down to South College Street, where it goes right underneath Interstate 185, or 85, excuse me, you should be in your safe spot right now at this point, okay? So this has been showing us some circulation. It's also been showing us some areas of possible debris, which we'll get to in just a minute on the next scan. So if you're in Opelika, that'll be 13 minutes after the hour 2, figure about 2 o'clock Central Time. Auburn, we're talking straight up on the hour, okay? You're just 5 minutes away. 5 minutes, City of Auburn, South City of Auburn, south of 14, should be in a safe spot right now, at least up for the next 5-6 minutes. You got 5 or 6 minutes for this system. Okay, now it's starting to show circulation once again. If you're at South College Street, this is right over you right now. Right now, this potential tornado is right around you, the circulation. It is extending right along Interstate 85. It is headed towards East University Drive, okay? So as we get closer to some areas around our southern areas, a lot of buildings down here, they're related to, of course, Auburn University, and you could see right now how populated this area is. South Park Drive here, just south of South Park Drive, all neighborhoods here from Mobile Boulevard should all be in Mobile Boulevard, South Park Drive, in a safe spot right now. Central part, lower level of a building, sturdy structure, as many walls from you and the outside. Here's a circulation as it continues to lift right along Interstate 85, and it's going to continue to come right into these neighborhoods here. So we're keeping an eye on this. And even let's get a little bit more, let's give these folks a little heads up here. Cody, just go to the east part of the circulation of this. Yeah, perfect. And we'll go ahead and check these neighborhoods out. If you're in South Donahue Drive, Wrights Mill Boulevard, this is all right along Interstate 85 if you live in these neighborhoods. I'll even say, too, if you're at St. James Drive area, the neighborhood here that extends to Wrights Mill Road, these neighborhoods, you should all in these areas here should all be seeking shelter right now. You should, okay. It is hailing right now at Toomer's Corner. I don't know if we could go to that. Do we have that right now here? Okay, that's hail. So as we're saying, we're seeing Doppler indicated amounts up to 1 inch. Now that is clearly showing hail on a live camera, City of Auburn, so we know this is a pretty impressive storm. When you have hail this size coming down in Toomer's Corner right now, this is hail that's pounding right now, this area, this is something to be concerned about. This is a towering supercell, probably. It's getting up there, so this is a very strong storm, and it has a lot of energy with it. So we do have hail that's measurable, potentially Doppler indicated. We've seen amounts, I think, Cody, just under an inch, about 8/10 or so in diameter. Correct. So this is damaging hail. This could be certainly damaging hail. These cars that are sitting here are probably getting pounded on pretty good right here at Toomer's Corner. So this is the areas, all this areas here should be taking cover immediately. If you know anybody out and about, safely, without panicking anybody, if you could give them a call, if they're out in the roads, tell them to get into a building, in a structure, into a local business, somewhere. That's the best thing to do. This is a live picture of South College Street at Toomer's Corner, Magnolia too. So we're taking you up through those areas. The circulation, again, is just to north and west of Interstate 85, right about here. It's crossing Interstate 85 right now, and getting back down to street level, you can see the circulation of this in perspective to the downtown area of Auburn, but it is already coming into the Auburn area on West Veterans Boulevard, and it continues to lift kind of north and east, and it's kind of splitting right along the Interstate 85 area right now, and that would put East University Drive. That would also put areas around Highway 147 intersecting with 85. These neighborhoods are all down through here. So if we could go ahead and we'll kind of get down those neighborhoods again and maybe almost leave it there. Let's just track along with these guys and let folks know. And let's lift it up just a little bit farther north. No, the other way down. Go down a little bit south as it's coming in. Yeah, right about there. So we can kind of give everybody an idea. So Canary Drive, this potential tornado is approaching you right now. Spirit Drive, this is right overhead in the area. All the neighborhoods north of 147 going into South Park Drive area. You can see all the residents that are through here. That takes you out to, I'm giving you major roads now so you get an idea. We can get a little closer too, but South Donahue Drive and Canary Drive, these areas here in between with 85 right in the middle should all be seeking shelter immediately. They would include St. James Drive neighborhood areas, Southview Drive that runs parallel to 85 once you get into Auburn, Ferndale Drive that extends all the way back down in here that could be potentially in the northern part of that path.
Where's my what?
The East Longleaf Drive residents right along here that start to come in. If you guys could, this is all south of East University, should be seeking shelter immediately. And when we get farther north than this, you seem to be okay. And we're talking about who's okay. If you're right in the middle of Auburn right now, 147, you're looking okay.
Lost the rotation.
And it's weakening. Did we have? Could you put it in motion? Let's look at see what the correlation. See if it even showed anything on that. We could follow a little bit if we could put it. But what happens with these? They seem to be long-lived. They could come up. This actually started. At least seems like it is losing a little bit of that, but it did have some possible debris.
I'm a little concerned right there.
Yeah, there's more debris.
That kind of looks like a debris signature.
And that's what we're just looking at. So although we still, now here's the thing, if we don't have any velocity circulation.
I don't really see anything in
no,
velocity.
but you could still
But we could have had one in the past.
Right, and you can
Look
still,
at the
look at the
wind.
hail and the wind here, guys.
Amazing.
This is a hazard here. And not only that, but if there's debris that was brought up inside that funnel, inside that potential tornado, debris could still be falling in the atmosphere, and that last scan was picking it up. So it's not a smart thing to be outside right now. In fact, we're seeing less cars on the roads, and that's a good thing. So folks, warning loved ones or people realizing, hey, this is not looking good right now. So at Auburn University, Magnolia College, we're not seeing where that potential tornado was there, but you could just see the winds. They're just a few miles away. In fact, we could do a potential distance where it's probably only about a mile. We take you from South College Street where we believe the tornado passed through already. And we're not seeing circulation right now, but we are seeing good winds as it really catapults here towards Opelika, this whole system now. So I don't want to give the all clear. I'm almost ready to give an all clear in Auburn. It's bad outside. I'm not saying that, but I think you're all clear with the tornado potential. That's good news. But now we got to finish watching these areas from Beauregard. Heavy torrential rain right along 280. So at this point, this looks like a wind event now, definitely. And you could see by way of the velocity from Beauregard, it kind of wraps right into Auburn. You saw the wind there from that live camera. This could be a potentially damaging wind that could take us up into Chambers, southeast Chambers County, coming into extreme northeast Lee County from Beans Mill, Opelika to Valley, and getting into areas around River Road, eventually into Harris County, with a potential threat up in this area. Now, Crawford, you're going to see gusty winds. A lot of folks that were at Crawford Smith Station, you're looking good right now. City of Auburn, we're looking good right now in terms of looking at this. Tornado threat's over. So everybody that was in your safe spot right now, you can pretty much kind of just don't go outside, don't try to assess. That's where injuries happen. Just sit back, be patient, wait for this to pass. We'll listen to some live broadcasts. We'll keep you updated to let you know if there's any damage. We're on it right now. We're with emergency management officials, and we'll keep you updated. We got producers working in the newsroom letting us know. So if you could just sit tight, if you were just in a potential tornado area in Lee County. We're going to take a break from Lee County now. Now that we think the life-threatening portion is over, we're looking at this down by Jimmy Reynolds Boulevard. Going into Dawson, if you know these areas, our friends in Shellman, you could see how that was holding up. But that circulation also appears, which was once a tornado indicated here and had debris signature with it, appears to be weakening considerably. 2 thumbs up, that's good news. But I would still be mindful in Shellman, these areas here south of 82, with the potential threat of some damaging wind still continuing. If you're in Cuthbert, you're okay. So if you're in Cuthbert, Randolph County, you guys are okay. You can safely just stay in a safe spot. Just try not to go outside and try to investigate. The Moy area that's south of coming down into our county south of Randolph County, at this point I wouldn't even dare try to go out there and try to assess anything. Let management officials do this. Yesterday up in Catala, Georgia, we had a lot of people looking, curiosity. It puts our emergency management guys at risk and women. They're trying to do their job, and they don't need to be trying to save or help somebody else, but they need to be focused on cleaning up and taking the hazard away from those neighborhoods. So that's all we're saying. Emergency management wants us to keep preaching that to you. So we look northeast of Tuskegee. With that tornado warning we're looking at, it's a broad scale. We think that is over. What it does is they have an expiration date on it, and computer technology will expire when it's ready to expire. We're saying at this point, no discernible rotation. So I'm pleased to announce south of Auburn, from where South College Street was near Interstate 85, it would be something we have to keep an eye out for potential damage there in those neighborhoods all south of that area, south of Highway 14. City of Auburn, you could take a breath, but stay indoors because we still got a lot of wind out there and hail. And that certainly, until that storm weakens, that hail will slow down, storm will hopefully collapse. But as it does kind of burn itself out, it can excel and eject into Harris County all the way up the valley, still with the potential damaging wind with something like this, okay? So when you have this kind of long-lived event, as we've been seeing, and it could continue to lift north and east, could certainly be a problem. And you could see how this line just passing Hurtsboro now. It is in Russell County, and we're going to continue to see Russell County, see southern central Russell County, which would include eventually Stewart County and Omaha, Georgia, seeing the threat. And you could see the wind that's associated with this, as we could see on radar. Cody, what else? Any updates yet, or Carmen? You guys seen anything that looks of anything valid at this juncture?
I did want to note our storm down in Randolph County. I'm pretty confident we had a tornado on the ground and producing damage in Randolph County. That has since weakened, but if you were in the Americus area or Sumter County in general, that is going to be the general motion for this storm. So if you were in communities like Smithville, Leslie, Americus, be mindful that this is moving your way, especially southern portions of Sumter County. Now, we technically don't cover Terrell County and Lee County right there where the city of Dawson is, so we're going to not watch this storm closely as we are, but as soon as it gets to Americus, we'll watch it a little more, have our eyes on it a little more than right now. But it is a little weakened, or it's not as strong as it was in Randolph County, so that's a good thing. But this whole line, especially the first line south of Columbus, stretching down into South Georgia, this is a very, we're going to get some damaging tornadoes out of this. You can see the one just to the south of, or southwest of Albany there. That's a pretty intense storm. You can tell by the lightning. When you have that much lightning right there, that's an intense storm. Now our storm, or the secondary line, you can see just around Auburn, stretching back down to Russell County. It looks like it's losing a little bit of its strength as it's moved throughout East Alabama here down. We did have that kink and that spin-up rotation around Auburn, but just watching the line as it progressed eastward here, it has kind of weakened in my opinion. So that is a good thing as it approaches the city of Columbus and the rest of our residents of the Chattahoochee Valley. Carmen?
All right, so like Cody was saying, we do have the potential for the damaging winds, and this is not the end of the threat. We'll be tracking this all afternoon long, so we're still watching those warnings. Warning Cody just mentioned to our south and to Randolph, and this is going to be about a quarter hour to more. 3:30 Eastern is when that's going to expire. The one in Auburn, not really seeing that circulation anymore. So the threat of tornadoes is gone. Just going to continue to see that heavy rain as well as some strong winds as well. This is going to expire really in about 5 to 7 minutes. This is going to be expiring at 3:15 Eastern, 2:15 Central. So we're watching this very closely, but the life-threatening, anything like that, it's gone. Not really expecting any tornadoes with that, but we were monitoring that circulation. That's why there was that tornado warning and still continues to be it, but it's expiring at 2:15. So not even seeing any rotation with this anymore. But the bigger story continues to be this line extending all the way into Russell and now into Barber. So we're starting to see some strong winds with this heavy rain, even off there toward Albany, south of us. We're starting to see a lot of activity. So there's a lot of activity in radar right now, and it's going to continue through the rest of the afternoon. So we'll be monitoring all of this. Right now, we're just taking a look at radial velocity just to see if there's any circulation. And Cody right now is starting to highlight that right now. So we're starting to see that counterclockwise rotation there. So it looks like a little bit of a couplet. So that's what we're watching very closely with that warning. Now this is going on into Lee County still into 2:15 Central. So we started to see that weaken, and we did see that hail in Tumors Corner, but now it looks like it's starting to recirculate. We're starting to see a little bit of a tightening. So if we put a track on this, it's going northeast about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Roanoke Junction, you'll see it in the next couple of minutes here, 2:12 p.m. Central, as well as Beans, Mill, and Yarborough. You're going to see it closer to 2:23 p.m. and 2:30. So that's really our next concern here. You can see that even on radar, we're indicating a little bit of rotation there. So we lost it, and now it looks like it's picking up a little bit as well, really exiting now that polygon. So I wouldn't be surprised. Looks like we could have an extension of this tornado warning, just depending on what that circulation decides to do. Bob, do you have anything else?
Yeah, good breakdown, Carmen. Yeah, it's pretty much spot on what you're saying, and along with Cody getting this, it's amazing how they kind of grow in intensity and they can shrink, and that's why when we stay on these, you have to stay on them. You just can't just say, okay, that's it, because the line isn't through, and so there's always that potential for it. There's been a lot of inquiry from local meteorologists on this particular cell too, and when it widens out like that, it's a broad circulation. Could you still have damage with it? Absolutely. There's still that wind threat as it continues to lift north and east of this area. Now, a lot of folks watching, even though you got that severe thunderstorm warning that continues all the way through Yarborough, all the way back down into these areas here outside of Beans Mill, just understand that we don't necessarily you don't have any damage yet. It's potential damaging winds, but we're not seeing any rotation on that flank, or the northern flank, which we had yesterday. That's the difference. Everything is kind of behind it on this particular area of long-lived showers and thunderstorms. And we've had two that seem to be pretty strong today, that especially down there in Randolph County, that meteorologist Cody Nickel was looking at earlier. But if we look at 231 here outside of Opelika, there's potential of seeing some damaging winds with this. And you can see the circulation now, as Carmen was saying too, as it's tightening up and it broadens out. It's tightening up a little bit now, and again, you have to take it quite seriously. And interestingly enough, this is the extreme northeast part of that polygon of the tornado warning, which was rightfully issued, and now north of Opelika. So let's get into these neighborhoods too, especially as we get around Roanoke Junction and it lost rotation on that velocity scan. So there you go. But we could still, let's just zoom in on there. It's right there. Now we've got severe storm. Yeah, those are straight line winds there. Let's go right back over on this side over here. So you see what's ejecting. As that storm collapsed, there's a good chance that that thunderstorm, as it was, we were seeing it in its mature stage, its dying stage. Now all the winds are exiting out. We see velocity, strong velocity winds smacking on the surface, and then you get straight line winds being detected. So that's just as much of a hazard, and a lot of people mistaken these for tornadoes. In fact, sometimes tornadoes are smaller scale. These could be large scale and do damage to everything straight in that path in every direction, depending upon if it was a burst. But that looks more like straight line winds, which is pretty damaging. They could come pretty fierce, up to 70, sometimes even higher than that, miles per hour. In many cases, I've seen them up 80 with these kind of storms. So that would be areas of Chambers, Lee, Randolph, of course, counties we're looking at. And as it continues into Tallapoosa, we'll get into those areas there farther north. This area here, come around Beans Mill, should be seeking shelter immediately, all the way down to Wacoochee Valley, north of Shotwell. Shotwell area, you could still be taking, I would be seeking shelter too. Again, where is this? East of 280. If you're east of Highway 280, as we extend this out here, this path, we're looking at areas around Yarborough right now, around 23 minutes after, and it's 13 minutes after. So in 10 minutes, damaging wind potential, straight line winds could be headed your way. And with those, sometimes they could spin up weak tornadoes, but I'm not even worried about that. It's the magnitude of the width of this. Everybody in that track, watch for damaging winds. Quarter after the hour, we're looking just a few minutes later in McCullough. And I can't even say that. It was at Sanipa, I can't even say this right, and I apologize to offend anybody, but I know those are nice Native American names here. But that area there, in these small towns that I'm not even... Sanipa, that's it, thank you. One S, not two. Was there two S's on there, did I say? I don't know. And then McGinty here, too, at the bottom of the hour. So, again, not making light of this, folks, but here we are looking. I just want to make sure you're aware of these streets and these names of the towns and these areas you're familiar with, okay? Albeit we're familiar with this whole region here. These are some less populated areas, but still we have a concern. We have many folks that we care about right through here and our residents to this area that continue to eject and lift north and east. Now, it appears hopefully that straight line event is beginning to weaken. That's good. But when they come in, it comes in fierce, those areas right there. That's why we have a severe thunderstorm warning as that storm likely died. We're seeing the line breaking up again on level 2 radar, and that's a sign, too, that we're seeing some split off here. It is a sign of, yes, weakening perhaps overall, but we still have this area, this pinwheel, spinning, an area of low pressure. And it's acting like it would with maybe a tropical system. So it's sending wave after wave after wave after wave. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4 waves. ahead of it, you get a very strong southerly wind, a warm sector front. Jet streak sometimes is why we head down near Albany, seeing a tremendous strong thunderstorm there. And I won't belabor that because it's not focused on our viewing area so much. But we do have some folks down there who are concerned about you, but you're highly covered down there. But as we get to the southern portion of this, it hasn't been too impressive, just some winds with this. Perhaps issuing a significant weather advisory south of Columbus, going to Stewart, Omaha, Barber counties. And that would just be some winds 20 to 30. But 20, 30 mile an hour winds, branches, they snap quite easily with that because this is a wind event. This is an area of low pressure with wind event. So if we do a whole track on this line, and I'm not saying it was 45 miles per hour an hour ago. Are we still looking at that same speed?
I'm saying anywhere between 40 and 50 because since it is so segmented,
Okay.
each one could be moving at a different rate.
True.
So just
Right.
averaging it out at 45 miles per hour.
Right, good. Mathematician there, Mr. number one in his class. He likes math. There you go. So
not that hard to average it out.
Well, let's go with that.
45.
Young minds, that's good. We'll take it. We'll take it. In that respect, as Cody and Carmen are looking at it, that's smart thinking. It would be safe to say here, people, it's been the big question today, when is this going to end? What should we worry about? Well, let's talk about it. Let's go with this analysis right now, and we may be going a little aggressive and fast, but understand,
crazy.
if you're in Valley, this could be over with by 2:30 local time, okay? Central time. Columbus and Phoenix City. Columbus and Phoenix City, we could be waiting till 38 minutes after the hour. So let's safely say at least 3:45, okay? It's quarter after 3 right now. 32 minutes after 4, if you have any travel plans, you got to get up towards Atlanta, Peachtree City. This whole line could be passing that area. So you could see how wide this is. It should kick this out of Sumter County. It appears, though, by way of this energy coming in, is this wave, as Cody was describing, it has so much energy with it, acting like an independent front would. It's actually suppressing and keeping that tornado warning, that severe storm that has rotation with it down in Albany and near Cordele, Georgia, and keeping it south for you guys. If you're watching us now in Sumter County in Americus and Plains, that's good news for you. This could be actually helping you, this line, in keeping the south of Sumter County. That's just the physics dynamics of it. So that could be good. Not good for friends in Cordele, but the feeling that for Sumter County now, this could be good for you because you've seen that you were under that PDS earlier in our southern counties, which was potentially dangerous. Long-lived potential wind event here. Little rotation still going on. Boy, Albany.
Somebody in Albany.
Yeah, I'd give somebody a call in Albany. Yeah, definitely, and tell them that's been really bad. That's been circulating, and it has so much energy with it. I can't imagine how towering that area is. So that is definitely more than Doppler indicated, a tornado likely. I wonder how the CC looks if Tallahassee's back up now. Or what are we on? What radar? It would have to be Tallahassee to see.
This is coming out of Fort Rucker.
Fort Rucker may do an okay job. Tallahassee would be directly the
not
radar
really seeing anything, but
it's hard to see based where this area is, but definitely radar. Go ahead, Cody. You were saying you
I was saying this has been a strong storm well south of our area. That's why I was saying if you know somebody in the city of Albany, technically that's not our area, just give them a call, give them a heads up, and tell them to tune into their local station so they can get the latest on that tornado warning as we continue to track more severe weather with that just a severe thunderstorm warning up in Lee County, Chambers County, goes until 2:45 Central Time. So this still has roughly maybe 20 more minutes on this warning. Now we could get more spin up brief tornadoes like we saw that moved into Auburn out of this in Chambers County, but I'm kind of not sold on the whole idea because the whole system as a line, as it has moved eastward, has broken apart and kind of weakened, in my opinion. So it has lost a little bit of its momentum as it has continued to move northeast.
And it's okay because I think we were saying, even all you guys were talking, I know Kurt and Carmen were talking about this morning when they were here, that the actual area of low pressure will determine how significant our day would be today.
Brennan.
And if you look farther north, as we're talking about, getting up near the Atlanta metropolitan area, is that this area of low pressure that's spinning, had it been a little bit farther south now, that would have brought in even stronger dynamics, perhaps southern counties really getting pounded on, and maybe central. But by way of, this is starting to really lift quickly through Alabama into Georgia, all the way up near Interstate 20, and you could see it. It's excelling quite fast, that we're getting the tail end, and we're losing a little bit, as Cody said, some of the raw dynamics. There's still a lot of what we call wraparound moisture that will be present right through tomorrow morning, mind you, with some rain and wind. So even up through midnight, we could still see considerable amount of wind and still hazards out there. Even though the tornado threat would be gone, it'll be more of the wind that would be an issue. We're also right now working one of our reporters and our producers, Brendan Reyes, with meteorologist Carmen Rose. They're getting some reports in, and I assume they're going to be breaking it down for us to see what happened in the Lee County, Auburn / South College Street area. Do you guys have new information?
Yeah, it looks
Go
like,
ahead.
well, we're getting a couple reports here. One is just saying damage in Pepperell Village area in Opelika. So trees and utility poles, various structural damage, and this is all confirmed by the Opelika Police and Public Safety. And then also looks like other areas in Opelika affected as well, significant damage. So I'm assuming that's that exact circulation where we're talking about, that rotation, indicating that heavy wind. So it looks like there are some damage reports. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to get some more as well.
I almost wonder, too, if it was as part of that thunderstorm, because it's a thunderstorm before it weakened when we had actual circulation. In fact, it could be, you can even roll back on that radar a little bit. Let's see if we could kind of jog it real slow. There you go, Cody, thanks. We're just going back in time here, guys. But when this was, what we saw circulation south and east of Auburn, south of Highway 14, as it continued, it literally, we saw it weaken. It was likely collapsing, and that could do just as much damage. We had that in the Columbus metro area this summer. Everyone remember the big downburst, wet burst that we had, and it came in here in a couple square mile area, was just annihilated, it looked like, and everything else was fine. That same principle could happen, and you had a lot of winds and became almost straight line, leaving, and I'm curious to see northeast of Opelika, not quite as far as areas going into areas of Lee County, but like Roanoke Junction south of that, as it continued right there, and right along 231. Beans Mill, maybe, there could have been some damage up there too. But you can see south of Beans Mill, where we saw is that system, it literally did. I think it literally collapsed, and that was it. It was the end of it. So it kind of pulsed, it built up, had rotation, possible little tornado. We had a funnel cloud from Maxwell Air Force Base spotted by aviation meteorologists there, and then it eventually held itself together, and now it's in its dying phase as that area low pressure lifts and everything else is kind of breaking up and weakening. So what's left now is down near Albany, a very serious situation down there, and our hearts go out to these folks here. Americus, you're doing okay, and you don't even have to worry about it, but it's really the far south portion of this has really been under the gun, which would be impacting areas south of Sumter County. If you're Smithville, all these people southward, Sylvester, right in the middle of that, boy, that is pretty, I don't want to say pretty big, pretty large area. The threat of seeing quite an impressive tornado there if it continues. So the city of Albany has definitely got to be hunkered down right now. And I do believe they were declaring an emergency down there, the city emergency. No power right now, I'm being told, in Troup County. So, and that's from the winds probably. And winds yesterday, and let me tell you about the power thing. You don't have to have a tornado. The Troup County didn't have any severe weather today. It's the wind that just knocked over a weak tree. Likely their tree limbs or a tree on top of one of the main lines for power. So Troup County now, I don't even know what power they have. Diverse Power, they probably got Georgia Power up there too. Okay, so if they got Georgia Power, maybe some areas of Diverse Power, I'm not sure that, or Tallapoosa's farther south, but Georgia Power, likely they'll be on it real quick. My worry is for Troup County, anybody watching on social media, is this. Do not go out there if there's any power lines. Don't try to say they'll figure it out. They have a sophisticated system in Atlanta, and they could pinpoint exactly where that point references where there's been damage or perhaps a line that is down, and they'll send units and crews out there immediately. No need to get near any electrical wires or power lines that are down. That would be a hazard. We're doing the favor here, emergency management folks. Same thing in the Opelika area. There were some damaging winds just moments ago. Do not assess, and I'm sure there's power lines down, trees, and even there's in some cases we're saying even lights that are down and stuff. Do not head outside in Lee County, any of these areas that were impacted greatly just within the last half hour from the storm system. The hazards would be you get electrical shock, rings of electricity can extend 50 feet away from a down power line, and you step in that ring, that's it, you're electrocuted. So always stay away from these areas here. So if you're in Troup County, a lot of power outages there, in fact, being reported, no power in many areas. You know of anybody on social media now, you're watching us at WRBL.com or listening on Q107.3 FM. The best thing to do at this point, let folks know, stay indoors. Let the professionals handle it. Do not try to get pictures and all that stuff. We appreciate you doing that. But News 3 is all about your safety and wellness. That's why we're on right now. West Point and Valley, we're looking at just some winds that are still associated with it. Columbus, Georgia, Phoenix City, Smith Station, North Columbus, Green Island Hills, you're okay. I have residents up there. A lot of folks that are concerned are just tweeting me or texting me a minute ago. Please understand you're okay, because a lot of folks, I know you get scared, nothing to be afraid of. I want folks to know up there just to be in the center part of your house, just relax, let this line come through.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
This doesn't concern us, but a tornado emergency for Albany.
Yeah, that's going to be the big story today. That's devastating for those residents. And now that we're reminding everybody to stay indoors in Lee County, Troup County.
Look at that.
Look at that. That is exactly why they had a potentially dangerous situation
There's your debris
today. Yeah, and there's a full couplet there.
Or debris signature.
Yeah, TDS we call that, and that's not good. And our hearts go out. You know, if you could say prayers for folks down here, and they've been prepared all morning. I can tell you that the local stations meteorologists have been doing a good job keeping folks updated there. But boy, our hearts go out to those folks there. Right, this is the area Cody's talking about, south of Highway. You see 300, just south of the Beltway of Albany, and that's there's population there, but not as populated in the city of downtown Albany. Thank God. But you could see that is pretty impressive, and there's a lot of debris that's right along that couplet that we're highlighting right here. These are the kind of tornadoes you don't like to see. This is something you would typically see. I've seen these at end of February, early March. This is what you would see. It's like we're kind of jumping ahead a month ahead of time. But the big story today is residents down here are certainly going to be impacted. It's a tornado emergency for Albany, Georgia right now. We do have viewers down here that do tune in to WRBL. We know that for a fact, and and if we can help out in any way, just get some messages out that everybody south of Clark Avenue there, just east and west of East Autry, and not quite the Sylvester area, but they certainly need to be mindful, seeking shelter immediately. And again, this is something that's going to be pretty damaging. Whatever this is hitting, what neighborhoods this is hitting and areas, is going to be quite devastating for these folks. Okay, we got some updates. Meteorologist
really
Carmen
wasn't an
Rose
outage.
will keep us updated. Go ahead, Carmen. What do you have for us up here locally? We're going to leave Albany right now, but again, keep those people in your thoughts and prayers.
Sure. Okay. So it looks like Troup County, we were just getting that report from our anchor, Mercer Van Shore. Looks like they have their power back now. Not seeing a whole lot of outages here, though. Talbot, just one outage, less than 5 people being reported without power. Meriwether, one outage as well, less than 5. The bigger portion is in Upson County. So one outage, 59 customers. Sumter and Macon, really not that many as well, less than 5 for each. But we're still monitoring. I mean, we still have some winds with these thunderstorms, so we could very well see a couple more outages as well, but that's just something that we'll be tracking. Good news is right now, not seeing a whole lot. Really, mainly Upson County is the main one where we're seeing about 59 customers, 60 customers without power.
So we're just sitting here thinking, I'm surprised Auburn didn't have anything, but Opelika had some damage, as you're saying.
Getting more reports coming in from Opelika, some possible roofs blown off, some structures there in Opelika.
Bet you those are straight line winds.
These aren't confirmed.
Yeah.
These are just reports. So there is damage coming out from that tornado warning that we saw for Lee County.
Okay, and so folks need to be aware of that. That's such a big deal in terms of seeing what we need to do in terms of in terms of not going outside and trying to explore. We don't need anybody getting in a dangerous situation out there in Opelika. That line you see there is Carmen and Cody were just updating us on. There's some damage reported. Now, it doesn't matter what it was. We think there was rotation for sure. We think there could have been a weak tornado south of Auburn. And then that storm system, that severe storm, had tremendous amount of hail with it. So it was definitely a very high lifted, a very elevated thunderstorm that collapsed. We think it's possible that Opelika, when that line came through, Opelika could have easily had a collapsing storm and just the straight line winds just flowing out of it. That's what showed on radio velocity. And that could cause just as much damage and widespread. So if we're getting these reports, as Carmen was telling us about, that's a problem. Troup County, with all the winds, and after yesterday's storm, and they were getting pounded on. I mean, Mercer Van Shore, our reporter, was up there. giving us some reports. It was pretty bad up in Troup County yesterday. It's only makes sense that anything that they had, that some winds could have came down. Let's talk about in Preston right now, Ben Williams Road. In this area here, you could see the rainwater, the creeks, and I feel bad, we haven't even been talking about flooding, but what is happening is these swollen creeks, these tributaries are so soaked, they're rising rapidly. Roads are starting to get covered by rain. So we're also with this torrential rain down in Preston, Georgia. Thank you, the folks who sent this in here. I don't know who that was in Benevolence, Parrot area, you could see, but Ben Williams Road area in Preston. This is standing water. You never cross it, and this is probably a good thing. Where there's car that says they stop, never cross. I don't care if you think it's 2 inches deep. A road will give away like that, and if you get trapped, you're in trouble. It doesn't take much water to move a vehicle. I mean, in fact, there's just enough water to make a car buoyant would be right up to the door sill of just a sedan, and a car will just float away. A truck, it doesn't even matter. It becomes buoyant. And if it collapses the road and you get stuck, good luck. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. So never cross standing water if you see that. But this is another hazard out there. Low-lying areas have been seeing tremendous amount of heavy rain, and I'm going to pick on more of the southeast counties here, where in fact we do have a flash flood watch anyway. I mean, the flash flood watch has been out all day. Of course, we highlight the life-threatening weather first, but that's life-threatening too, flash flooding. So where we see, pardon me, any kind of heavy rain like this, that also gives us pause to say watch for swollen creeks, low-lying areas with poor drainage, and a potential threat of seeing that. You follow, you're just seeing showers now, you're doing good. Carmen Rose is going to talk about the flash flood watch we have up here. Carmen, that's what we're looking at. Where'd you get that picture too? Who sent that? You know who sent it in, or just?
Oh yeah, Weaver, Diane Weaver.
Okay, thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
And hopefully she's safe. And I'm sorry, I want to emphasize, I'm glad she did the right thing. She didn't go crossing the standing water.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take much to lift a person or even a car. So yeah, you wanted to talk about the flash flood watches here. This is extending through the evening. You can see all the counties here highlighted in green. That's all a flash flood watch. So what that means is, if we continue to see more of this heavy rain, we do have the potential to see some flooding in low-lying areas. And this is going to be rather quick. It's not really a long process when we have that heavy rain. So areas like Lake Bottom here in Columbus, we're really used to that. But other areas as well, we're starting to see that you have that potential to see flooding as well. So we have a lot of rain coming in. This is lasting all through the weekend, all through today, so we definitely have that potential. This went into effect last night, and it's lasting through the rest of this evening once that system finally moves through. So really until 7 p.m. Eastern, that's when that system is finally going to make its way through, move through east of us, and we'll still see that potential for flooding, which is flash flooding. So just like Diane did, if you want to get a photo, great, send it to us, but don't drive through that water because you do have the potential for messing up your car and being in a dangerous situation. So what we're continuing to monitor here is this line. It's now really entering Columbus, where we're seeing some moderate to heavy rain as well. The tornado warning that we're seeing is toward our south. So Albany really getting hammered as well, and they're under that emergency tornado warning as well. Tornado emergency. So really starting to see some strong activity there as well as the potential for tornado. Good news is this is in Albany. It's southeast of us. So we're not seeing any warnings, but we still are under an active watch. So Cody, if you want to pull up that watch just so people can get a general idea of what's going on, that's actually our PDS watch. We were under that yesterday as well, and this is continuing for today. We have a new one that's going to last into the rest of the evening. So this just means that we're under a particular dangerous situation. We could see some damaging winds, and we're watching this as well. So that's what we're seeing everywhere highlighted in red, and this really kind of includes our entire viewing area. This is going to be favorable for tornado development. Not necessarily that we're going to see a tornado, but the development
wrap up?
And the setup is there. It also is a PDS tornado watch. So these aren't really issued all that much. It's just particularly dangerous situation. So the wording on that just emphasizes the gravity of the situation. So we are under that watch here, and we're continuing to watch this line right now. This is really kind of our concern here in Columbus and even southern Muskogee County. So Bob is back. Do you want to add anything else to what we're seeing?
Yeah, and the good, and if there's any silver lining in this, is that as you're saying, once this line comes through with some more potential across, and we're doing good in Harris County. A lot of here, I just want to point out, Meriwether County, Harris County, no power in Troup County because there's probably some tree limbs that were weakened that were just toppled over on some lines. Muskogee County is just heavy rain right now. You're okay. It's the big story is south of our residence, as Carmen pointed out, of Sumter County, and Sly County are okay too. I mean, Ellaville, Georgia, our residents there, that is exiting on your area. We're going to highlight that one last shot. The potentially dangerous situation living up to this tornado emergency down here through south of Albany. The actual city of Albany, south of the Southern Beltway, is certainly under the gun, and hearts go out for them. Don't want to see anything like that, but this should give a little relief for our friends here in Americus and Plains, that you're pretty much out of it. The worst is to your south and east for the rest of this afternoon. Whew, thank goodness, but not so good for our friends here around East Daughtry. This is all just to the west of Sylvester, Georgia. A lot of agriculture here, a lot of farmers, and again, if anybody in those areas that even, they could be watching or in any capacity, certainly will be mindful of this, and they know they got to be seeking shelter, and that's moving really rapidly there. That's definitely a tornado on the ground, and there's been a lot of debris signature with that as well. Okay, the big story is this. Even though the tornado watch is till 8 o'clock, it's going to expire. It's 3:35 Eastern right now. We're going to wrap things up here right now. We'll get to CBS. We should be good. We'll likely just crawl the bottom of the screen for anything else. If it becomes life-threatening, of course, with the remainder of the circulation north, which we're not seeing that, doubtful, it's a lot of weakening, but do be prepared for a windy evening, and certainly when this area low pressure zips through here later tonight, even around midnight, there could be some strong winds here. So it's going to be more of a wind event from this point forward, okay? Life-threatening right now is gone out of the whole viewing area. That's good news. Folks, have a good afternoon. Let the rain slow down. Take your time out there. Watch for low-lying areas experiencing some flash flooding, and just be mindful of that. Storm reports right now, as such as we're seeing highlighted, we could see that are starting to come in here. No doubt about it. The big story this afternoon was Auburn, Opelika. And it wasn't so much Auburn getting the reports, ironically, when we're seeing it. It appeared when that storm actually collapsed on itself and blew right over Opelika. Tornado possible, trees and power lines down right along Pepperell Parkway. So folks around Pepperell Parkway, please, again, we can't emphasize this enough, Lee County Emergency Management wants us to inform you, do not at all go out on these roads of Pepperell Parkway. Don't try to take pictures. Don't try to get yourself in harm's way. We really appreciate you staying indoors. Let the emergency management officials work on what they need to do. Focus on that, and then you guys could safely resume what you need to do. So Pepperell Parkway and Opelika, you do not need to be out there. The rest of the threat will be ending, and I suspect, again, they'll be ending. The tornado watches will start to expire as this line comes through, and we should be good for the rest of the afternoon, except for wind. It's going to be a real windy evening. Meteorologist Carmen Rose is going to be watching this all afternoon. She'll be tracking us all the way through midnight tonight when the back edge of this comes zipping through here, and it is going to be windy. So anything that's loose or weakened, trees, that sort of thing would be our big concern with this real strong storm system as it wraps up across north central Alabama, as you could clearly see indicated by radar. So again, focus Albany, just please keep those folks in your prayers and thoughts down there, and we'll keep you updated on that as well coming up tonight on our news. We're on tonight, guys? 11, of course, just football games. Am I crazy or what? People are going to think I'm nuts. So again, you're not missing anything. We're going to go back to programming. You guys have a fantastic afternoon. Thank you for trusting us, the First Alert Weather Team, and letting us be on your side. You have a good afternoon, and follow us at WRBL.com.